Imagine a giant container ship carrying thousands of boxes across the ocean. It can spend days at sea, burn huge amounts of fuel, and cost a fortune to operate. Yet the company running that ship isn't really selling the boxes inside it. So what is it actually selling? The answer is simple: space, time, and access to a global transportation network. And once you understand that, ocean shipping starts to look less like a business about ships and more like a business about moving huge amounts of cargo as efficiently as possible. Think about a product sitting on a store shelf in the United States. Maybe it's a piece of furniture, an appliance, clothing, or an electronic device. Before it reaches the customer, it may have already traveled through factories, warehouses, trucks, ports, and eventually a massive ship. That ship is part of a system that connects businesses around the world. The basic idea behind ocean shipping is straightforward. A shipping company operates vessels that carry cargo between ports. The cargo is usually packed into standardized containers, which can be loaded onto ships, moved onto trains or trucks, and transferred again without unpacking everything inside. That simple container changed global trade because it made moving huge amounts of goods much easier. But the shipping company doesn't own most of the products inside those containers. The customer does. The shipping company is being paid to move them from one place to another. And the customers can be very different. Large manufacturers may need to move raw materials or finished products. Retailers may need to bring merchandise into the country. Importers and exporters may need reliable transportation between continents. And logistics companies can arrange shipping for customers who don't want to manage the entire process themselves. So imagine you're a company selling products in the United States, but those products are manufactured overseas. You have a problem. Your products need to travel thousands of miles before they can reach your warehouse. You could try to organize every part of that journey yourself. Or you could pay a shipping company to handle the ocean portion. That's the value the shipping company provides. Now here's where the economics gets interesting. A container ship has limited space. Every trip has a certain amount of cargo it can carry. So the shipping company is constantly trying to fill that available capacity with paying customers. The more useful space it sells, the more revenue the voyage can generate. One of the main ways ocean carriers make money is by charging customers to transport containers. A customer pays for transportation based on the shipment and the service involved. But the price isn't simply fixed forever. Shipping prices can change based on supply, demand, trade routes, available capacity, fuel costs, and market conditions. When demand for shipping space is strong and available capacity is tight, prices can rise. When there is more available capacity than demand, shipping companies can face pressure to lower prices. And that creates one of the most important ideas in ocean shipping. The ship itself is only valuable when it is carrying paying cargo. A giant ship sitting empty at a port isn't producing the same economic value as a ship moving a full load between major trade centers. This is why utilization matters so much. Shipping companies also make money through different types of services and charges connected to moving cargo. Depending on the carrier and shipment, customers may pay for transportation services, handling, or other charges connected to the movement of their containers. Some shipping companies also offer logistics services that go beyond the ocean voyage. They may connect ocean transportation with inland transportation, helping move cargo from a port toward its final destination. And that's important, because customers usually don't care about the ship by itself. They care about getting their goods where they need to go. Now let's talk about the biggest expense: the ship. A large container vessel is an enormous piece of equipment, and owning or operating one requires serious capital. But buying the ship is only the beginning. There is fuel. There are crew costs. There is maintenance. There are insurance costs. There are port charges. There are expenses related to containers and equipment. And there are costs connected to operating a global network. Fuel is especially important because ships consume large amounts of it during long voyages. So when fuel prices change, the economics of a shipping route can change too. Then there's maintenance. A ship can't simply operate forever without repairs. Engines, equipment, navigation systems, containers, and other parts of the operation require ongoing attention. And because the ship is a massive asset, keeping it available for service matters. If a vessel is out of operation for maintenance or another reason, it may not be earning transportation revenue during that period. Ports create another layer of costs. Ships don't simply sail from one ocean to another and magically appear at the customer's warehouse. They arrive at ports. Containers have to be loaded and unloaded. Cargo has to be handled. And the ship has to work within schedules and port operations. This makes ocean shipping much more than a simple trip across the water. It's a carefully connected network. And that network creates another interesting challenge. A shipping company has to decide where its ships should go. If a route has strong demand, the company wants enough capacity there. But if too many ships are competing for the same cargo, prices can fall. So the company has to balance capacity with demand. This is where pricing becomes fascinating. Imagine two situations. In the first, businesses urgently need to move large amounts of cargo, but available shipping space is limited. Shipping companies have stronger pricing power. Now imagine the opposite. There are plenty of ships available, but customers don't need as much space. Carriers may struggle to keep prices high. The ship still costs money to operate. The crew still needs to be paid. The vessel still needs maintenance. But there may not be enough high-paying cargo to cover those costs comfortably. That's why ocean shipping can be a very cyclical business. Strong demand can create excellent conditions for carriers. Weak demand can create a very different environment. And customer behavior plays a major role. Large customers don't just look at price. They also care about reliability. If a company is importing thousands of products, delays can create problems throughout its supply chain. A shipment that arrives late can affect warehouses, stores, production schedules, and customer deliveries. So, reliability can be valuable. This is also why shipping companies build long-term relationships with large customers. A business that regularly moves cargo doesn't want to renegotiate everything from scratch every time it needs to ship a container. Long-term contracts can give customers more predictability and give shipping companies more visibility into future demand. But spot market pricing also exists, where transportation prices can change more quickly based on current market conditions. So shipping companies are balancing two very different things: the need for predictable business and the opportunity to benefit when market prices move higher. Now imagine you own a shipping company and want to grow. You could add more ships. You could increase capacity on important routes. You could enter new markets. You could improve the efficiency of your fleet. Or you could expand into other parts of the logistics chain. But adding ships isn't like adding another employee. A ship is a massive investment. And once you add that capacity, you need enough cargo to keep it economically useful. This creates a fascinating business problem. Growing too slowly can mean missing opportunities. Growing too aggressively can leave you with expensive assets that aren't fully utilized. That's why scale matters so much in ocean shipping. A large carrier can spread certain operating and network costs across a huge amount of cargo. It can also serve more routes and connect more customers. But scale doesn't eliminate risk. In fact, the global nature of shipping creates plenty of it. Fuel prices can change. Trade patterns can change. Consumer demand can change. Ports can become congested. Weather can disrupt operations. Geopolitical events can affect important routes. And a disruption at one point in the network can create problems much farther away. Competition is another major factor. Shipping companies compete for cargo, routes, customers, and capacity. If multiple carriers have plenty of available space, they may compete more aggressively on price. And that can put pressure on margins. Then there's one of the biggest risks of all. A shipping company can spend a huge amount of money on capacity that customers don't need. Imagine ordering hundreds of trucks when you only have enough deliveries to keep half of them busy. You still own the trucks. You still have costs. But you're not getting the full value from those assets. The same basic idea applies to container ships, except the assets are vastly more expensive. And this brings us to the most surprising part of the business. When you look at a giant container ship, it's easy to think the business is about owning a huge machine. But the real economic engine is not the ship. It's the network and the capacity the ship provides. The ship is the asset. The network turns that asset into a service. and the service creates revenue when customers pay to use that capacity. That's why a shipping company is constantly asking questions like, where is demand strongest? How much capacity do we have? How much cargo can we carry? What will it cost to move that cargo? How reliable is the route? And what price will customers pay? The answers to those questions can determine whether a voyage is attractive or difficult. And there's another lesson here. A company doesn't necessarily need to sell something expensive to make a lot of money. It can make money by moving enormous volumes efficiently. One container may not seem like a huge business opportunity, but multiply that across thousands of containers, many ships, many routes, and countless customers, and the scale becomes enormous. Of course, high revenue doesn't automatically mean high profit. The company still has to pay for ships, fuel, employees, maintenance, insurance, ports, equipment, and the rest of the network. So the real goal is not simply to move more cargo. It's to move cargo efficiently, keep ships productive, control costs, and price the service well enough to earn a return on all that expensive capacity. And that's the real economics of ocean shipping. These companies aren't simply selling ocean transportation. They're selling access to a massive global network that allows businesses to move goods across the world. The ship is only one piece of the puzzle. The real business is coordinating ships, containers, ports, customers, routes, schedules, and costs at enormous scale. So the next time you see a container ship filled with thousands of boxes, don't just think about the cargo. Think about everything happening behind it. Every container represents a customer. Every voyage represents capacity. Every port represents part of the network. And every empty space on the ship represents capacity that could have been sold. That's what makes ocean shipping such a fascinating business. It's not just about moving things across the water. It's about turning massive amounts of capacity into a profitable global service. If you found this interesting, subscribe to Business Anatomy for more videos breaking down how real businesses make money.